My name is Michael Gear, and as chairman, I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Historic District Commission to order this 28th day of May 2020. There is a quorum present. The roster of the staff to the commission, of the commission members, and the technical posts that they fill in accordance with the requirements of the Hagerstown zoning ordinance are on file with the city of Hagerstown, are available on request of any applicant, and are hereby made a part of the legal record of each and every application heard today. All decisions rendered are based on the Secretary of Interior standards and guidelines as adopted by the city of Hagerstown. Each decision is made on a case-by-case basis and is not intended to be precedent-setting. At this point, cell phones or other electronic devices, although you may be using them now for the meeting, otherwise make sure they have been silenced. There are two types of cases, consent agenda and design review. For consent agenda, I'll ask anybody in our audience if they have any issues with those particular cases. If not, then I will ask commission members if they have any issues with any of the consent agenda items. If there are no issues, then we will have a blanket approval of those particular cases, and those applicants will be free to leave the meeting. For the design review, when your case is called, please state your name and address for the record. There will be a brief synopsis of your application from the staff consultant. After that, the floor will then be turned over to the applicant for any further elaboration. After that, the floor will then be open for discussion by the commission members prior to rendering decision on that particular application. At this time, we have approval of the minutes from May 14th, 2020. If there's any revisions, corrections, or modifications, please so state. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion to adopt.
I move we adopt.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Ms. Wortman?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Leslie?
Aye.
All right, motions, I guess everybody's voted at this point, so the motion carries. We'll move into consent agenda items for HDC case 2020-16, 201 North Potomac Street, for Zion Reformed United Church of Christ for security cameras. HDC case 2020-17, 318 North Potomac Street for Spectrum BRP LLC, a roof replacement. And HDC case 2020-19 for 21 West Franklin Street, MSB Architects for a gate. I take it nobody in our audience at this point would be speaking out against those particular cases.
Mr. Gear,
Yes.
Leslie, I have to recuse from the consent agenda as I'm one of the petitioners.
All right, so noted. All right.
And Mike, just so everybody is aware, for Zion Church, they're actually planning to put in a comprehensive slate of security cameras, like 20 of them around their campus. They got a grant for it. But I determined that the vast majority of them were essentially just minor utility items. A lot of them are tucked away on the back of the property. You can never see them anyway. So what's really in front of you is just the mounting systems, essentially, for a handful of them on the Potomac Street facade frontage.
All right. At this time, commission members, any concerns with these particular cases?
Nope.
Hearing nobody speak, we'll entertain a motion for adoption for those three particular cases.
Mr.
I
Chairman.
move to adopt.
Okay, go for it.
You're too easy.
Go for it, Bob.
Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed the materials submitted in HDC cases number 2020-16, 2020-17, and 2020-19, and their associated staff reports and recommendations, and I have viewed the properties in question. The staff reports recommend approval of these applications as consistent with the applicable standards adopted by this commission, and no one has appeared at this hearing with concerns about, issues with, or objections to these applications. Therefore, I move that this commission adopt the staff evaluations and recommendations in these cases as its own and grant certificates of appropriateness to the applicants for cases 2020-16, 2020-17, and 2020-19.
All right, is there a
Second.
second to the motion?
I second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Monica?
Aye.
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Leslie?
Abstain.
Oh, that's right. Never mind, sorry. All right, the motion is approved at this point. All those applicants, I guess you're all done.
Thank you.
Next up would be design review. Do we have anybody online for that particular?
I don't see anybody waiting. I don't see Mr. Bartel waiting to get in.
All right, do we have anybody for the workshop?
I don't see Adam Hager either.
I could probably handle the workshop, though.
Okay,
Not a particularly big deal. You want to move to the workshop?
let's move to the workshop right now, and then we'll come back to the design review to give them another chance to come on board for this. It's moving pretty quickly, so.
The workshop is for the proposed parking lot on West Washington Street. This body approved it a while back. It went to the planning commission and was approved as well. But we ran into one little minor problem with it. And that is that they plan to put a parking lot Cobra headlight on a utility pole that's actually adjacent to the property. Okay.
What was that?
Yeah, he just went by our office too.
Okay. They were gonna put, the zoning ordinance requires lighting in parking lots if they're to be used after dark. Their initial proposal was to have a Cobra headlight on a utility pole that's just off of this property back in the rear alley, kind of between it and where the car wash is. However, the city does not do that for private lighting anymore. Therefore, they'd have to provide some sort of parking lot lighting for this parking lot. There's enough ambient lighting spilling over from the streetscape of Antietam Street to mostly light up sufficiently the front part of the site, but not the rear. Problem is that they don't want to run electric lines if they can avoid it. So they have submitted for your consideration, this is a workshop, it's not for official approval, but manufacturer's literature on a solar light that would be installed in the parking lot island that's at the rear of the site. This is not going to be up front, it's going to be toward the rear. There's no real pretense for historic nature to it, but then again, neither did the Cobra headlight that was going to go on the utility pole, which would have been out of your purview anyway. And given that it's kind of new to this body, it doesn't really give any pretense to anything historical in appearance, I suggested to Adam Hager, the project engineer for the site plan, to workshop it with you all, see what you thought before coming in with an actual application for it or whether you should look elsewhere. Staff doesn't have a problem with it given how far back of the site it is. This is that parking lot where it's a single one-way drive aisle with parking spaces off to the right. The Owls Club is to the left. And you drive through to the back of the site and make a left to go back out to Rochester Alley. There's a landscape island up by the front sidewalk, and then there's a landscape island in the rear. This will be in the landscape island in the rear. It's probably, I want to say close to 200 feet from the street. So that's what you got. You have the manufacturer's literature. We just wanted to see what you thought.
All right, commission members, comments, concerns? At
I mean,
this
if we
point,
really
let the record
can't
note.
see it, if we really can't see it, then it doesn't really matter what kind of light we put in there, but can we have a minute to pull up the address on Google Maps and see where exactly it would be?
Sure.
All
Because
right,
I can't
uh,
visualize it.
folks are doing that. We'll note that Ms. Allen has re-entered the meeting after her recusal.
If you're on West Washington Street, this is the open space to the right of the Owls Club. Basically, it's just a
West
right
End.
now.
It's West Antietam Street.
Correct.
So is it, when you pull it up, it's going to picture has a John Deere sticker sitting in it. Is that what we're looking at? Because that's right. You can see that from the street. So is that where they took the building out?
It has a John Deere what?
Well, when you pull it up on that address up on Google Maps right now, you're getting, there's a white tower to the left, which I'm assuming is the tower over City Hall. And then there's just a brown brick building in front, and there's a chain link fence that says safety begins with you. I mean, it's probably, a picture is probably a few months old, but is that the lot we're looking at? Because that's really visible from the street.
Are you on Street View or are you on Sky View?
I am on Street View, 17 West and Tatum Street.
Okay. You see the Owls Club?
I
Yeah,
see to the right, there's a red building, which looks like a garage kind of thing. You can see that really colorful mural in the background. And you see the white tower, which I'm assuming is City Hall to the left. It might belong to the church that's on South Potomac Street.
Oh, okay. For some reason, Google Earth is pulling up the wrong address on this. You're
Okay.
going to want to turn to your right and head down in front of the courthouse.
Under the court, okay.
In front of the courthouse.
Oh, goodness, it's bouncing on me. Ah! Being really stupid. Okay. So we want to turn to the right. Okay.
To the right, go 100 yards, maybe down the road if that. Basically,
go down Port,
in front
Steve,
of
are
the
you talking about going up to Potomac or the other direction?
other direction, down toward Jonathan or something.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so the Owls Club is 25, so 17 has to be towards Potomac.
The address is incorrect.
Oh,
Okay, so we're
Okay.
between the Owls Club and,
It's to the right of the Owls Club. Matter of fact, the utility pole, I think you can even see in the photo toward the back that they were going to put a Cobra head on.
is that the property that has a for sale sign on it?
Yes.
Okay.
okay, so so it's between the Owls Club to the left and the other red brick building to the right.
Yeah, you see those big concrete blocks?
Yes,
It's between the concrete blocks and the Owls Club.
okay. But I mean, that's really readily visible from Franklin Street.
That's
So
Antietam.
are we talking behind there? Are we talking all the way behind there?
All the way to the back of the site. You see that utility pole in the back?
Yes. Uh-huh.
It's in front of that. Probably 200 feet off the street is my guess.
Okay. That's still really visible though from the street. I mean, I think we ought to put something a little prettier in there. I mean, because you can see it when you're walking down and driving down, you're going to be able to see that. Maybe not driving because it's that far back, but when you're walking, you can definitely see it.
May I weigh in? You also can see it from because I was confused about the address as well. You can kind of see it from the urban path as well, and I don't know if that constitutes a public right of way.
That's true. I didn't even think about that because that's just a few steps to the right.
Yeah.
And you definitely see the car wash when you're on the on that cultural trail. That car wash is hard to miss. That's definitely there, and people pause and look and interact with the artwork that is on the trail. So I think we ought to put something there we ought to ask him to put something there that's a little more attractive and a little more going with the general flow of the area and not just this thing that's on the paper here. You know, either something like that, or because when you're there at night on that trail and you're heading back up, right around that area off the car wash, there are these really cool lamps on the trail they're modern looking, but they kind of fit the artsy feel. So if it's something that kind of goes with that, like I think if they're going to put something in that is visible, it needs to go with the things that are around it.
I think part of that is they're looking to use more of a green technology, being an LED solar generated as opposed to an electrical type fixture at that point. So while this is somewhat modern in appearance, part of it is the fact that, you know, it has a solar panel that's on the backside, you know, above the light, and
But
then
you can
the
get
actual
that.
light pieces.
But you can get solar powered, more traditional or older looking lights as well. I mean, the one on the bottom there, because it costs 3 times as much, but you know, something that just goes a little more with what's already on the trail. So even if they looked at the one like at the bottom to the right, the one all the way on the right would go more with the looks of what's there than the one that's all the way, you know, the very first thing that we're seeing there. I'm just suggesting they ought to look around since it's visible from the Cultural Arts Trail, probably more so than from Antietam. They ought to look at something that visually kind of flows with what's already there.
Okay, you're referring to the one that is the SL15 model number as opposed to the SL29 that's on the front page of it.
Well, I mean, that's the most traditional looking one, the SL15, but the SL14 might go fine with what's there too, because you have those pole lights on the actual trail that are modern, and I'm pretty sure those are not electric. I mean, I haven't examined them that closely, but you know, they're modern, they give tons of light. They're a little further down still. And there are solar panels on those benches by the car wash. And there's this orange contraption that looks like a giant monkey bars that's by the car wash. So there are some things there that have a contemporary look. So if they're going with a more contemporary look, I would suggest to them to look at what is there and kind of blend it in with that, because it will be obvious and visible from the cultural trail as you're walking back towards downtown. And then it's also, if when you're walking down Antietam, you're going to be able to see it. That's my suggestion.
All right, anybody else want to weigh in?
I have a question.
Okay.
This project, if I recall, was slated to be a parking lot. So our visual orientation for a light fixture being on that back pole, it would have a certain kind of weight depending on what we're focusing on. But I know that sign there for this being sold as a commercial property is standing as of yesterday. And if the owner is planning on building a structure there, then it's a different kind of point of view. Is this a temporary solar panel light while they're waiting on something else, or a building that we're not going to see from Antietam, and it's just really looking at from the urban trail area, or, you know what I mean, cultural trail, or a completed project, and we have to consider what it looks like from Antietam as a parking lot.
Yeah, how far back is that parking? Where does the parking lot start? I guess does it start
Well,
from
I thought, Monica, I thought that the parking lot was the whole parcel with a one-way connect-through from Antietam to the alley, and
That's
now it's a for sale as a building site, and we're going to look at what a lighting looks like, and the objective is to have a building built there. Then are we supposed to weigh in at this time what we see from Antietam and the cultural trail, or is his request a temporary lighting from a safety standpoint and he's putting in a parking lot? Just looking for, yeah.
I think I can give you some guidance on that. Mr. Murbaugh is the owner of this property. That's the applicant. It's different than the property that's on the other side of those concrete blocks. That's under different ownership. Mr. Murbaugh I don't get the impression Mr. Murbaugh is going to be looking to build any buildings on his property anytime soon, because he's going to be investing in curbing, gutters, stormwater management, paving, et cetera. He's looking to make his holdings a parking lot for the foreseeable future. The property next door is under somebody else's ownership, and I have not had any calls anytime recently inquiring about that property, either from its current owner or potential buyers.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we have no idea what's going to go in there anytime soon.
Okay.
So the parking lot is, when we're looking at this, is to the left, all the way in the back is where he's gonna stick the light. So it's essentially also behind the car wash, right?
It's in the back lot of the car wash, yeah, basically. If you're looking at Street View, you see that utility pole.
Yep.
You're looking at it from Antietam Street. It's a few feet toward your view from that utility pole. It's going to be because there's a landscape island on each end of the bays of parking. And the parking, you go in the driveway and you angle off to the right. So the front ends of the cars are all going to be along where those concrete blocks are.
Okay.
It's going to be in a landscape island on the very back of the property, just in front of that utility pole, in a landscape island, behind about 14 parking spaces.
Okay, can we clarify something? Because I'm sorry, I'm confused now. Is the parking lot the property that is adjacent to the Owls Club or adjacent to the other building? Which lot?
It's adjacent to the Owls Club. The parking lot is between the Owls Club and the concrete blocks.
Okay, that's what my question is, that they have a sign there for commercial building site. And back to my original question.
There is that's right, there was. What's the date on the photo?
No, I went to the site yesterday. The sign is still standing.
Still there, okay.
And that's why my question is, which one are we looking at? Which point of view should we be reviewing this as?
Exactly.
Well, then I have to correct myself. I wasn't aware that it's currently for sale. I can't speak for Mr. Murbaugh. He's not here.
I mean, I would think that if he's doing whatever he's doing as a property owner, is fine, who does. But if he's looking for some temporary lighting to accommodate his need for lighting in the back, looking at it from the viewpoint of what it looks like on the cultural trail only, or not, I think is prudent for for money for him. I know he had some wonderful designs there with the fencing and the layout and the pass-through and all that. So.
Yeah, I think so too. If we're only looking at it from the cultural trail and the lamppost is actually behind that utility pole, then you're probably not going to see it much from the cultural trail. I thought it was a little more, more visible from there. It's kind of, I wish we could walk down on Google Maps down the pathway to see it better, because I know that car wash is super visible even at night. I've just never looked to see what kind of poles you see when you walk down that thing, so.
Steve, did you know the size of the pole? I mean, it looks like the literature is saying it's only 10 foot high. And I didn't know if that's what they're actually looking to install, only a 10-foot high pole, or are they looking for something a little bit taller than that?
Looks like it comes in 10 and 15-foot heights.
If they're 10 foot high, then it's behind the car wash. We're not even going to see the thing except for from Antietam Street.
Monica, you can pick up a street view on there behind the car wash on Google Earth from way back, kind of a long reach, but.
Maybe from Wilson? No.
It's an old view when the car wash was being built, and you can see the church.
Oh my God.
It's a dated photograph.
Actually, if you're just tilting the image, you can zoom in and kind of see where
Yeah.
it's gonna go.
Yeah, you can see the poles back there.
I mean, you can definitely see the poles when you're walking on the trail. You can definitely, there's a big wide opening there that you see it when you walk past. So that's,
Does Google Street View allow you to drill down along the path? I've seen that occasionally where
Yeah.
Google Street View is run their vehicle down a walking path sometimes.
you can't, but you can tilt it so you see the bird's eye view and you can get pretty close.
Okay.
And that, the pole we were talking about is in an island with a tree. Or it's
Well,
the
we're
one
getting-
that's by the red building. If it's the other one that doesn't have an island yet, then it's still, either one is readily visible from the trail. From several points of view. So if that is where they're sticking the lamp, then I think they ought to go with what either the lighting on the trail looks like with the surrounding. They should look at the surrounding lighting and make it blend with that.
The only reason that I would think that the lighting would matter at this distance, because there's a lot of utility poles back there with a lot of equipment on them, is if this is a parking lot and they're driving through, it's just a continuation of all the time and energy spent with fencing and shrubbery. It's a final point to exit onto an alley. Not for any other reason. It's so far removed, it's stuck in this hole, but if the alley is going to become the main exit point of the lot, then it's going to, then maybe there's other considerations to look at. That's why I'm asking, what are we looking here through the purpose of the lot from a long-term standpoint? I'm looking at a side view from the trail from August of 2014 at the back end of the paper company.
Mm-hmm.
Way over, you can see looking up.
Yeah, I just think you can see that pole from the trail. I mean, even looking bird's eye view, you can definitely see it, especially walking back. So why not make it something that's a little more aesthetically pleasing than that one that's on the top?
So what direction are we saying you want a different style light?
I mean, I would recommend either SL14, or if he really wants to be fancy, SL15. But I mean, I can see where that's a little bit overkill being back there. But the SL14, which is the last one on the page, would be similar enough to the pole lights that are on the trail.
Right. Keep in mind, the actual light fixture looks like the one that's SL08. That's what's actually mounted on that pole, or it's very similar to it. Because I'm on their website now looking at what that particular light would look like. Because it looked like it was just a bar hanging out there, but it's a flag.
Yeah. But then why give us those different choices? So it would still be that flat piece on top of the bar?
Well, yeah, it's going to still have that flat piece on top of the bar. It's just a little bit different configuration than what the one on the front page is. It doesn't have, I mean, it's a single support, where the one on the front page it's got a brace underneath of it.
But that seems weird, because that one, the SL14 is $1,000. You got SL08 at $699, and the very first one is $699, which is SL29. To me, it seems like what they're showing you, that's the light that it will be.
Right. Some of it may be the height of the pole and the different wattages of lamps, I guess. I'm not sure why, what the real difference is, but.
I would just say we recommend to go as close to what the lights on the trail look like as possible.
That makes sense.
Anybody else?
Not exactly sure what I'm supposed to tell them. Is this particular, it's what I'm hearing is this particular version is not acceptable, but something that's also white but looks like basically a tube that's a light is okay?
I mean, that looks closer to what's on the trail.
Okay. CSL 14?
Yep.
Okay. Is that the consensus of the body then? Not hearing objection, that's what
Yep,
I'll tell
not
them.
hearing anybody else comment, so. All right.
Okay.
Anything else on that particular case or that particular workshop? All right. Has anybody signed in from our design review
No,
case?
still not.
They may not be coming.
It's deferred to next meeting.
Okay. All right. I'm hearing we'll table, I guess we need a motion to table that particular case until the next meeting.
I move we table that particular case in the next meeting.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 And Matt, yep. Okay. Nobody disapproved, so motion carries. At this point in time, we'll drop down to new business. Is there any business that needs to be brought before this commission at this time?
There was a catastrophic fire on South Prospect Street last week.
Terrible.
So just putting that on the record right now, trying to figure out what the options are for it.
All right. Anything else? All right, hearing none. Any old business? We have preservation awards.
Yes, Debbie gave you a list of potential awardees that we've been compiling over the last few months. I think at this point, probably as complete as we're going to get. There's no, all it is a certificate and a handshake, although in this environment, it's probably a cyber handshake or an elbow bump. So we can give out as many of these or as few of these as you want. It's not like there's a budget implication to it. I will say that the city-owned duplex is not done yet. But some might be one you might want to hold off to next year.
Is the theater expansion finally complete? Or are they still working on that?
They
I
are,
think that's about complete, isn't
they
it?
are done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matter of fact, the electronic marquee did go up in the last week or so. If you haven't been down by it lately, the marquee that's on that front tower is now up.
Why would the Mulberry Lofts? I mean, they've been finished forever. Why are they on the list?
You know, they're kind of a forever ongoing kind of project. They've been kind of going around the building section by section, doing renovations to it to make it available for rent.
They haven't received anything previously, have they?
I checked. I could not see anything.
Okay.
I'm gonna put together a lot of list. Do a spreadsheet.
There's a gun in front of the Hager house? Where?
As you ride in the road, like you're heading back toward the art museum past the lake,
Mm-hmm.
and you got Hager House coming up on your right,
Mm-hmm.
and that lawn area between the house and the railroad tracks, I think.
There's, really?
Yeah.
So is it like a cannon or?
Yes, it's a cast off cannon. What happened was it was a manufacturer's defect that was buried out at the old Mount Etna furnace out on
Okay.
the east of town. It's actually like 3 or 4 of these that have been found over the years on that property, and it's the property of the historical society, but they have it kind of on indefinite loan to the city for display because they ain't got no place to store it.
Okay.
And it was sitting on a couple of railroad ties back in that parking lot behind the Hager House up until a couple of years ago, when the new Revolution Museum down in Williamsburg wanted to borrow it, put it on display, and they did, in return for the loan, they did conservation work on it to stabilize it. And it was on display down there for like 6 months, 9 months, something like that. And it was returned, and then the city built a pedestal underneath of it so it could be properly mounted and displayed. But it's a manufacturer's defect. It wasn't bored out. It's actually got the big piece of slag on the front end of it. I think when they were boring it or pouring it or whatever, it was off center or whatever, which weakens the structure. So it was a cast off, is what it was. But it's an interesting artifact for the ancient industrial heritage of the city and the county.
Good.
Right.
I'm gonna have to go and look at some of those. Like, I don't know, when you say Old Massey Building, that means nothing to me. So I have to go to that and look at that. But I think, the others are fine. But I do think the Muller, Oregon, if we save that for 21, I mean, the owner is the same as the Mulberry Loft. So if he gets one for Mulberry Lofts, then next year we could look at the Muller, Oregon building whenever it's done.
Mm-hmm.
But all the others look good to me, other than I want to check out that Massey building because I don't know what was done there. So
Massey Building is the old car dealership on Baltimore Street, just west of the Thomas Kennedy statue. It was recently repainted in Art Deco colors.
okay.
Now a record store. They did a really sweet job on it. They put the display windows back in. They did a Art Deco color scheme to complement the architecture of the building. Rather than mounting a sign on the building, they painted the sign onto the building. They did quite the nice job.
Okay.
But if you want to go look at it, we're not in a rush. You don't have to determine this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Preservation month ends in like 3 days. So I mean, we're COVID's got us all behind the gun anyway. So if you want to not determine them today and still look around at these things, you can.
Because you said it doesn't matter. We can give as many of these out as possible, right?
As many or as few.
Correct. Okay, so what I'm hearing right now is the list is fine, just holding off on the city-owned duplex right now to make sure, and the Moeller, Oregon building for next year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yep.
Everything
Yep.
else would be recognized then, is that correct?
Correct?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So it would be the Maryland Theater, Barbara Ingram School expansion.
Are they done?
They're done on the exterior.
Okay.
They're still working on the inside, but everything that you would have purview over is already done,
Okay.
or essentially done. MSB Architects for Pioneer Hook and Ladder,
Mm-hmm.
Schmigel Stube Edition. Massey Building, do you want to take another look at that before you decide, or what do you want to do?
That's fine.
Hearing no objection, then we'll make that one. Mount and Cannon.
Okay.
Melissa Hull for a fence. Mark Bartel for what he did on those properties on East Avenue.
Okay.
And what did you want to do with Mulberry Lofts?
Well, if they haven't received one previously, you might consider them this time.
I'll look again, but
Okay. We'll double check.
Because I mean, he started at what, almost 10 years ago now? It's been a while.
About that, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a bumper crop here.
All right. Great. Anything else under old business that needs to be brought up? All right. Any announcements?
I don't know if this is an announcement, but I just wanted to shout out to 300 North Potomac, who's been before us before of solving the garbage problem and the spacing of the Potomac side of their property with planters. It really looks nice. And it really cleaned up that corner and really makes the building pop nicely. So good for them.
All right. Hearing no other announcements, I guess we'll move to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Mr. Chairman,
Second.
Second.
Oh,
Wait.
hold on. Hold on.
can you withdraw that motion for a moment?
Motion is not approved yet.
All right. Just one last thing. We received a request from the city to do a landmark overlay on the Sailor House out at Kiwanis Park. So you'll be getting that soon as for forming a recommendation to the mayor, to the planning commission and mayor and council. Just thought I'd give you that on that.
Okay. All right. Now, anything else? So we'll move for adjournment then. So I think Monica, you had the motion. Who's second?
I think Leslie had the motion and I seconded it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Hi.
All right.
Aye.
Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.